Phil, well done. Very good away win at Ratcliffe.
It was an exceptional away win. Everything that we tried to do came off for us, to tell you the truth. And strangely enough, in the face of a lot of adversity, we didn't plan on a pre-match meal. We had pickups en route, etc., etc., and then we hit the M6 at the wrong time. We must have been caught in about three or four traffic jams, but we didn't get there till probably about 10 to 2, by which time Macca was already at the ground and he handed the team sheet in early, and everything was back on sync come 2:30. But when you get a group of players that get a little bit nervous about, when their usual routine is getting disrupted to a certain extent, you're wondering what kind of effect it's going to have on them. But the players had a weekend planned for their Christmas do, and looks like they were really up for everything that weekend. Doesn't matter what Ratcliffe threw out, we dealt with. But I think the slope played into our hands. The fact that we won the toss and went with the slope and attacked whatever we could do to try and get an advantage, and then lo and behold, the first cross that comes in from Ashley Hemmings is put in the back of the net by Amari, and then the second goal just before half time. So the timing of the goals was perfect. That second goal gave us a little bit of a breather, if truth be known. But to finish off a decent side, because I think Ratcliffe, on that day are a decent side, well organised, a good unit. They play in a way that suits them. But we dealt with everything that they threw at us, and consequently to come away from anywhere winning 4-0 is a plan, or shall we say it's a marriage in heaven, especially when you travel to some difficult venues, which we're going to in the National League North, that's for sure.
I also think if you're going to do anything in any season, really, with all due respect to the likes of Ratcliffe, Needham, Market, you've got to put those sides away, really. It's likely you'll drop points against the top sides because that's the nature of football, but you've got to beat the bottom sides, and you seem to be doing that pretty well.
But again, you don't get a league table really taking any kind of shape until around about the Christmas time. When you get sort of 19, 20 games under your belt, which we have got now, you look at league tables, if you want to look at league tables, and if you studied our league table, my word, give me a crystal ball to say who's going to finish first, second and third in our division, I wouldn't have a clue. Just hopefully, that consistency level that we're showing at this moment in time at Kidderminster Harriers, that we can be one of them three. Preferably number one, if truth be known. But consistency is the key, and regardless of where you go, you've got to have a game plan. You've got to be able to take on the conditions. You've got to be able to take on the adverse weather conditions that we get at this time of year at Christmas. And at the moment, look at it outside, it's glorious sunshine. You wouldn't think it was Christmas just around the corner. So we've got to take that and use it to our advantage if we possibly can. Agra's in good condition, albeit, we've got plenty of games playing on here. The ground staff are doing a great job, and hopefully again on Saturday against Southport it'll be a decent game of football. We're hoping upon hopes that the supporters turn up. I think there's a lot of offers going on out there about kids are coming in for free, and Matty tells me in no uncertain terms that families of four can come in for around about 25-30 quid. Them kind of offers at this time of year are proper Christmas presents, and I've got to thank the chairman for that. It's a fantastic offer, but I'd love to fill this place on Saturday. I'd love to get the supporters here to reward the players for what they're doing at the moment. I think they're wearing the shirt with pride, as I say many times, and that kind of performance should fill the people of Kidderminster with pride. So hopefully another one on Saturday, but maybe a big crowd to entertain.
We've had the news today that you've managed to extend Riley Reynolds' loan for the remainder of the season. Tell us what he's brought to the squad.
Oh dear me, where do you start? He came in as almost like a quiet young man from an academy at Notts County that you'd be thinking, where's he come from? He didn't look like he had anything to offer in terms of character. But then all of a sudden you put him on a football pitch and it just opened up, the whole thing. And a lot of people say that the best footballers are normally like that. Off the field of play, nothing really gets them going. Cross that white line, he's one of them. He crosses the white line and he just expresses himself the way I want footballers to express themselves, certainly the creative type. He's got into a midfield berth. He's had spells in a midfield 3 with David Davies in there. He's now had spells in a midfield 2 with Zach Brown, and the energy levels that himself and Zach are providing for the team are just fantastic. You know, it's a proper engine room, box to box. He's got a goal in him. He's certainly got a long range shot in him, and I think hoping upon hopes that this is his season where he makes his mark in football, because you know what he's doing for us at the moment is quite, it's pleasing on the eye for sure. But it's the creative end of the game, you know, and it's something that I've always wanted as a player. You know, you play 700 games as a fullback, you wanted to have that creativity. But it's the workman-like part of me that didn't have that creativity. If I had that creativity, I'd probably play at the highest level. I think this lad could go on to better things, but he's got to put a shift in to get there. You know, he's got a foundation here that he can actually work hard towards. But once he's worked hard towards that foundation, I think the benefit of that will be the creativity in the final third, and I hope that blossoms over the course of the second half of the season.
Loan deals, particularly when you're bringing players in from academies, let's face it, there are loads of good young players in academies from Football League clubs. It's a bit of a step into the unknown, isn't it? I mean, it's great when it works, but obviously it doesn't always work. Plus
the academy side of things, it's almost like they're wrapped up in cotton wool, and I think they need exposure to this brutal world that we live in. You know, the harsh world of men's football, what people used to say. I was brought up in Sunday League football, and it was a brutal world. That was a proper brutal world. But you know, National League and National League North and South, you've got to have your physical attributes as well as the technical attributes, and I think that's what Riley has got, and certainly the academy lads that were brought in from wherever. I think they realise that we mean business. You know, when they hear the words coming out myself and Neil MacDonald's mouth, we're not trying to con anybody. You know, it is a tough game, and you cross that white line if you've got any kind of reservations about playing for Kidderminster Harriers, you need to be parking that and playing somewhere else, because you need to be physically and mentally attuned to what we're expecting of you, and I think the majority of the players that were brought in either on loan or transfers are certainly well akin to that, and hopefully that continues.
Your squad must be looking fairly healthy at the moment. Yes, I know you've got Luke Summerfield and Alex Penny, who you class as long-term absentees, but aside from that, it must be looking pretty good at the moment.
Yeah, and Ben Beresford is the third one, but we seem to be papering over the cracks to a certain extent. You know, Luke was ably, I would have said, replaced to a certain extent by David Davies, and then all of a sudden we brought in, as you've mentioned, Riley. We've got midfield players that played in there at the start of the season in Malik Carrigan. We've got enough players for, I think it's probably the utility players that are adding the strength and depth to the squad. You know, the players that can play in various positions. In the main, it seems to be in front of the back four, the back five. But the midfield creativity seems to be blossoming, and then the strike force of the 9, 7 and the 11. You know, we've got competition with places as Topi Obide. He proved on Saturday when we had a bit of an illness to Maz Kuya, who's been one of the biggest or the best impact players that we've had. But all of a sudden Topi's now making a statement and wants to play on Saturday, and he's got every right to be banging my door down to say that I deserve to be playing. He scored a goal in a 4-0 victory at Ratcliffe. So there's lots of competition, but it really is. I lick my lips with joy when I've got a full squad training. We had 24 players on the training ground today, and them 24 players, there was a couple of young lads that were trying to blood through from the academy system that we've got here at Kiddie, and give them a little bit of exposure to first team football, you know, whether it be training on Thursday and Friday and then playing some part in the game, maybe the warm-up on the Saturday. I think that exposure goes a long way. But the 24 players on the training ground are absolutely breathing, and they're bouncing, and they're just looking forward to the next game. And what a great place to be as a footballer, when you're looking forward to games as opposed to fearing them. And long may that continue as well.
The next game then is here against Southport.
It is, yeah, and a challenge. When I think about it, the connections that we've got there, Jim Bentley, I've came up against Jim many times. He's a stalwart of the lower leagues, as it were, and knows how to win a game of football at this level for sure. So I'll be showing him a lot of respect. Got Nate Percival playing in the back of a three, in probably his best position, if truth be known, with the age and the experience that he's got. Certainly knows his way around the football pitch for sure. And Jamie Proctor, I gave Jamie his I think he gave him his debut for Preston North End, and he's blossomed in his career. You know, he's played a lot of league football. We actually contacted Jamie in the summer to try and bring him in as not just as a replacement, but for competition for places for the strike force. But Jamie wanted to stay around the northwest of England, so he signed for Southport. So we've got Jamie to contend with. But Tony Philliskirk's son's in the middle of the park, so it's all of a sudden coming round to haunt me, the fact that I've been in the game a long time, and all these people are coming back to come up against Kidderminster Harriers. But I'm representing Kitty at the moment, and I'll be doing everything I possibly can to upset them 3 or 4 people that I've just mentioned with a great home performance and hopefully a win.
It's not quite Christmas technically, but this is almost the unofficial start of the Christmas programme, if you like, the 21st. Obviously you play again on Boxing Day at Hereford. You don't play on the 28th, so perhaps the programme isn't quite as heavy as it has been in the past.
A lot of people have said that to me, and I think you've got to take your hat off to the National League, North, South, and the National League itself. You know, we've got our own identity at this level. You make the transfer situation more enjoyable, in my opinion. You know, the window's permanently open. And then there's games that can be rearranged at any one given time, you know. But then this hectic period that we used to have at Christmas, where you were playing every day, it seemed, it was like 3 or 4 games in the space of 5-6 days. It was ridiculous, but we piled it in because we thought we needed to entertain everybody. But now, you know, 21st, 26th, and then 1st, I think that's a reasonable return. 3 games over the festive periods. You're not filling everybody's stockings full of footballs, and you know what you're doing is you're playing football in the right manner. You know, you're giving people time to recover so that they can maximise again the following game. But for to play at home, either side of the Boxing Day period, and then a great game against Hereford, it takes me back. It was my first away game at Hartlepool United. Can you believe this? 1979. I think my first away game as a player was Hereford, and I remember the big heifer going around the pitch at the start of the game, and all of a sudden we've got a Boxing Day at Kidderminster Harriers, which is a local derby, which I'm led to believe there'll be 3,000 or 4,000 people there. So we're looking forward to that, but we've got to get this one out of the way first. This one's an important one. The next one always is, and if we can take another win into the Hereford game, then it'll be a hell of a Boxing Day fixture. But the 21st is the most important one for me.
And just on the Hereford game, of course they're pushing into the playoffs as well, so irrespective of the derby element, it could be a very decent game anyway.
It will be, there's no doubt about it, whether it be a technical game or a tactical game or a full-blooded derby match. But as I say, I'm looking forward to that once we've got this one out of the way. I think Southport is a real tricky fixture, you know, anything could happen. Jim's got a way of getting something from a game of football. I was talking to Brian Horton yesterday, and Brian reminded me on that Jim Bentley goes back a long way in terms of non-league football. His dad was one of the best goal scorers at this level. Played for Telford, I believe. So he goes, you know, he's entrenched in the game, and he knows, as I say, he knows how to get something from a match. But we'll be prepared for what they can throw at us, and then hopefully we can bring our A game to the party with regards to what we do with the ball, similar to what we did at Ratcliffe last week.